Hey, Axis and Allies players, the good captain here, and welcome to what is this, round 7 for Austro-Hungary's round turn 7 here. Uh, let's do a quick history, because there was a game mistake made, but it's just very small. I think it's very small, and anyway, offered my opponent a chance to make a correction, but he just didn't respond, and I'm getting tired of waiting, so I'm just gonna go because I don't think it's a big deal. But the Italians purchased 5 infantry, load up 2 infantry onto their transport, and move their fleet against the Ottomans, landing in Smyrna. The army moves from Egypt to Transjordan there. And yeah, they walked in their entire army into Venice. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of glad I didn't leave a blocker, because obviously if he's doing it with the non-combat, he probably would have just stomped on it. In fact, you know what? I forget what I had set up here. 23. So what I'm doing right now is checking the statistics. If I attack that blob of basically all infantry, what is the outcome? Could I freeze them in that position? I'm not going to, because I've got a lot of other problems, but oh yeah, it's a negative tough swing anyway. So yeah, it's negative a piece and a half, so wouldn't be worth doing. So yeah, the enemy is in Venice. Good for them. And their combat. So in Smyrna, they attack with 2 infantry and a battleship. The battleship misses, and so did the infantry, and the Ottomans hit back. So that was a very low odds probability event, but it is a contested zone. But in Serbia, the Italians hit, and the Austrians did not, and so they take Serbia. And this is where the game error comes in. And this happens. This is, I think, the 3rd or 4th time I've seen a player do this. There no capital has fallen, and because certain territories are essentially loyal, even though Serbia started out neutral, it's not. It will never go to the Italians until Moscow is out of the game, either by revolution or by being captured. So this should be a red territory, and Italy does not get to collect off it. So Albania is Italian. The Americans will never control it, or any other power. Entente power. Serbia and Romania are Russian, so long as Russia is still up. And Bulgaria will always be Ottoman. So even if the Austrians activate Bulgaria, they're activating Ottomans. Okay, so the same is true for Belgium over here. Belgium always goes French, even if the UK activates it. It's just a limitation of AAA. It's always it's good to know the rules in all contexts. Okay, 5 infantry get placed in Rome, and this is the error. We're going to fix this for our opponent shortly. He does not get 18, he gets 16. The Russians may get this money on their turn. They won't, because I'm going to have something to say about it, but anyway, the Americans purchase 2 infantry, 2 artillery, and 2 transports. I'm very happy with this. I think the Americans are kind of a mess right now, although I can acknowledge the value of the extended shuck and getting troops in early, however unreliably. Obviously, there's a hiccup in the shuck stream. He's got 8 pieces landed, 6 pieces on deck, and 2 pieces coming up. So it's all kind of a wonky shuck stream. So yeah, he pushes the Americans into Serbia from Albania and lands fresh troops in Albania. Pushes his stream up. Does some rejiggering with his fleet and places his transport. So the thing I like to do, or I think at least at this point in time, is most efficient with the Americans is a 8 transport shuck between the U.S. East Coast and Spain. I like the Spanish to go, the Americans to take out the Spanish, so they have 24. This lends itself nicely to an 8-piece, 8 infantry, or whatever you want, less than 8 infantry. But at least you can make, if you have 24 IPCs, you can make 8 infantry. You have 8 transports. Doing flip-flop shucks, that's the most economically efficient way of getting things into Europe. Not the quickest way, but in terms of raw logistics power, you have the least amount of IPCs in the water and the most amount of IPCs pushing inland, right? So it is a bit of a walk, but I think it pays out dividends in the mid game and the end game for the Entente. Okay, so then we get to the Austro-Hungarian turn, and of course I had to fix this mistake, so we turn it red for Russian, and then we move the IPC count from Italy from 18 to 16. And I left a note for my opponent, but I don't know. I don't want to wait. I don't think uh, I don't think that it really is going to change his moves very much as the Americans. Anyway, I'm just going to play on this. I can't. There's so much time between turns with this fellow that I've got to get going. Okay, so I've already forgotten to purchase for this game, so it was 332. So yeah, I crunched some numbers, and I might go over that a little bit here. Oops, that's a different game. But 3. Is that right? 332. Save one. A little pause. Yeah, so this is I went 3 armor, 3 artillery, 2 infantry, and this is I think it deserves a moment to explain the thought process here. Let's go back to the active game. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna spike Tyrolia with 1 infantry, right? I'll put a blocker there, I mean to say. But what if he moves his whole army into Tyrolia? Like, that just seems ridiculous. Let's say he just smashes the blocker and has the whole army. Let's say the blocker misses, so he's got 31 and 4 here. Well, at the end of this turn, my intent is to have 26 infantry, 5 artillery, 3 armor, and notice these fighters, all my fighters, all 5 of them are going to be in position at the end of this turn. So that's what I'm looking at. 26, 5, 3, 5. 26, 5, 3, 5. So 26, 5, 3, 5. And this I very carefully, basically battle calculated this. Always adjust order loss. Okay. So there. It's not much. I'm up a piece and a half. Okay, a piece and a half. Not much. Average attacker units left is 24. So what is that? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So basically, like 11 infantry left. And then he's going to have, 19 pieces left. So we'll have, and then we swap sides. And he will bring in 2 more pieces. And this is how I sort of reverse engineer what his counterattack option would look like. We have to get rid of the tanks because they defensively don't count as absorbing hits. I'll just swap it out for a single infantry. It's more or less the right stat to get the closest accurate result here. And yeah, so he's neg 2.5 pieces if he attacks, and I would have 13 left. That protects my core units and a handful of infantry. So I'm okay with that. I'm just barely okay with that. And this just sort of, I could put more assets in here and ensure this, not let him, get Tyrolia, as easily as it's going to be for him now. But I get something for that. And let me just go back to my palette. So this is the one where I determined that I was just checking all my moves here on this other game. Yeah, let's manage the east front first, and then we'll do all the fancy footwork in the west. This I can do without looking at my palette. But, okay. Sevastopol. Oh, sorry, we got to done this out. Sevastopol, I pull it back. I leave Sevastopol open to being retaken. I am priming all of this up for a Russian Revolution / seizure of the Russian capital in the next turn or 2 turns. I'll go through more of this on the German turn. But I'm okay if Russia or even the British take Sevastopol back and it goes Russian. This would make the desire to accept a Russian revolution or create the conditions for revolution more acceptable, because when Sevastopol is Russian and the revolution happens, it becomes an impassable territory, essentially, closing off that flank forevermore. British, I don't have to worry about the British coming up this flank. Of course, I can't go through it either, but whatever. Next, we are going to move all 5 of these artillery into Ukraine. And then this I will move the fighters. They're all going to Galicia, so I have to make sure there's an infantry in Galicia when all is said and done. I'll check my palette now. So I need to have 41 and 9 in Russia. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's 42. 41. And what did I do with the other fellow? Sorry about this. This is part of the fun. Oh, it's the Sevastopol. Yeah, never mind. I see the error. Not a big deal. Okay, so there we go. Okay, now that we're all done up here. Hopefully the Russians retake Sevastopol, thinking they're going to get some money, create some problems, and it pulls another infantry away from Moscow. Anyway, next. This is where I don't want to mess this up. I put 10, 6. I put the air unit, 6 artillery, 10 infantry, and a tank. That's all going into Serbia. And this is, I've actually done this maneuver. There's a precedent for it for me. I've done this maneuver several times in previous games. It's not the first rodeo with Americans coming in like this in the early / mid game. So 10, 6, 1, 1. 10, 6, 1, 1. 10, 6, 1, 1. Okay. Now, I'm going to demonstrate this on the battle calculator. What I'm looking for is a 2-turn smash. Okay, 2-turn smash. If nothing, completely lacking reinforcement, I want to make sure my artillery and armor are not at risk. Artillery, armor, and air. And I really want to hurt these guys a lot. So there's 8 and 2. All right, here we go. 20k. So I know the top swing is going to be high. Right, it's 5 pieces in my favor. So, and then the next thing I'm looking at is okay, attacker wins 40% of the time. So when I do this type of this is like a 2-turn setup smash setup, like they will be completely crushed. Look, the average defender units left is 1, and sometimes there's 2. So I'm expecting there to be basically a single American infantry left, and maybe an infantry and an arty. At least that's what the center of the bell curve result. I'm expecting, and this is also very important with the way 1914 works, I'm expecting to have 14 pieces, so I'll just swap this right now. I'm gonna just ignore the tank, but it counts, so I'm gonna have keep 13 more. So I'll have 6, 6, 1. I'll have this basically on defense. Tanks only defend on 1, so I'm just going to ignore that for this counterattack evaluation. Let's say the Americans end up with 1 infantry and 1 artillery remaining, and then they have these 5 here with an artillery supporting behind it. So the 6-2 is the absolute best kind of counterattack that the Americans could cook off against the Austrians. Okay, so it's going to be a negative result. Good. -4 pieces, and it looks like they're going to just get wiped out half the time if they do that. So I do not, after the conclusion of this battle in Serbia, I do not expect the Americans to move into Serbia and do battle. They might move into Serbia, and I've run the stats on that, and at least from this position in Trieste, I can reinforce and decide to crush the remainder of the army. I know there's not very many more American pieces coming in, so this is the beginning of what I hope is the beginning of the end of the Italian and American incursion into, the economic hinterland of Romania, or of Austria-Hungary. So let's just make sure that the palette matches the situation, and I think, yeah, I did end up deciding to leave a blocker in Tyrolia. And then, yes, I checked against, if the Italians moved against Trieste, that looks okay too. But the main thing is leaning on this purchase. This purchase is extraordinarily vital, and one of the kind of oblique benefits of being the Central Powers is so much fighting is done around or close to your production center. So the stuff you build is essentially sent straight into combat, whereas the Entente has to float it across the ocean or walk it up to the front lines. It takes a few turns. The CP, what you build, can, be, or it usually is, on the front lines within a turn or two. And this is me leaning on that sort of oblique benefit of being the CP. If the Italians come in force into Tyrolia, they certainly can, but it's set up to make it so that they go no further and have to pay a bit for their troubles. Okay, so 24 and 2. That's what we want to make sure. 24 and 2. Okay, so that's it. Let's just cycle through as standard practice. Blocker and the placeholder. Okay, and the boats. Yeah, we're fine with the boats. We're not doing anything with the boats. So we're going to mash the done button, and it will automatically roll. And what we're expecting is 6, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9 hits. 6, 7, 8, 8. Yeah, we're expecting 9 hits. So that's the that's it. Let's see how bad. Oh, we're good. Oh, we killed them all. Again, there's a 40% chance of that happening. He rolls 10 back at 3 and gets his par roll. So yeah, and of course we shrug 1 off with the armor and absorb the rest via infantry. So yeah, he's done. That's it. It's done. If he doesn't evacuate his troops, so let's see what the potential of him evacuating his troops are. 1, 2. Let's see what his resist. It's hard to this whole line of American transports looks so inefficient. It's hard to read it. It's like reading the entrails of a chicken trying to predict the future. 22 IPCs is all he's getting. God, I really feel like you need to get Spain. 22 IPCs, and look at all these transports. What a whatever. Okay. All right. So that was a decent turn. I've already run this video for too long. There's a lot I want to say about Russia and what the plan is here for this power. But I expect this will be Russia's second. This is the penultimate turn for Russia. I expect them to be down and out at the end of their next turn. Not this immediate next turn, but the following. So the round 8 turn will be their last one. But we'll talk more about that when we get to Germany. Okay. Okay, so Yeah, we'll see if he moves his army to Tyrolia, and then we'll have to start, of course, working the Italians over. We're done in Russia. We're nearly done. I mean, there's going to be a climactic, dramatic situation over there, but that should be the end of them. Thanks for watching this. All the best from the good captain, and bye-bye.